My family are immigrant family. So we first came to Canada in 1990. So when I was 1 year old, we actually first resided in Quebec before, heading over to Ontario. And I think a lot of my childhood was pretty easy at the very beginning, being in a city like Toronto, and it's very multicultural. But then my kind of formative years was growing up in a very small town that didn't have a positive reaction to having someone who is Asian growing up in that town. At the beginning, it was more of a novelty. They're very excited that, oh my God, there's someone different. So I had the novelty of being the new girl, but then I had the novelty of being like the new Asian girl. But then when they realized that I wasn't a foreign exchange student and I was actually from, Toronto, and I was just there, it was very tough going through some of the comments that I was getting. So I remember some people would just say, like, go back to where you came from. And I wouldn't really understand that. I would just say, to Toronto, like, I don't get it. Like, why? I just didn't understand why people were saying things like that. And I think one of the things I really remembered was learning about Black history and Black History Month. And learning, like, I can't believe this happened in our world, let alone in Canada. And I remember someone mentioned a comment to me saying, like, you do realize if you grew up back then, like, you would probably be a slave too. And I just didn't understand that. I was just like, well, I don't understand why that would happen to me because I'm white. Like, I'm not Black, like, to me, I was just like, if I'm not Black, if I'm not dark skinned, then I'm this. And they're like, no, you're not, you're yellow. And even then I'm saying, the Simpsons yellow and they're white people. Like, I don't understand why I was categorized as that color. I was cleaning up my apartment like years ago, and I found a diary that I wrote back in grade 6. And I remember I knew it was bad, but I didn't realize how bad it was until I opened up my diary and read, 6th grade Cindy commenting how she hates being Asian, she hates her parents for making her Asian, and that, like, I wanted to commit suicide. And I even wrote, like, letters to my brother to take care of our parents, and wrote letters to my parents taking care of my brother, and just not realizing how much I hated myself in 6th grade. This is like 11-year-old Cindy here, and thank God I didn't listen to myself. Instead, I persevered and moved on, and was very stubborn in a sense, like, oh, you guys can't tell me what to do, like, I'm gonna be better than you, like, just watch kind of attitude, going through our own adolescence and trying to experience of understanding who we are as a person. And you're just going through puberty, you're just going through growing up, but then to add the extra pressure of just hating yourself, not because of just what people are saying about you, but also to make it look like because of your background, this is your fault. Like, if you weren't Asian, your life would have been much better. And I was made very aware of that like the white race is a very superior race, and everything that I was being raised up to, whether it's, we're not going to teach you a lot about your Asian heritage and your background, because in order to succeed, we need to make sure that you fulfill under Western standards. So I was very focused on learning and perfecting English at a young age. Like, even though English was my second language, it was very like, don't worry about talking in Vietnamese with the rest of your family, just like kind of focus on your English, the standard of beauty, the standard of, in order to be successful, like even changing my name to Cindy. Like, I was in grade 3 when I decided to change my name, because I knew that having an Asian name will really affect my success in the future, because people will just judge me having an Asian first name or last name or any of that. So to kind of teach yourself to kind of hate your background and be embarrassed by it for so long, it is very hard to kind of bring that back. The only thing that I'm very happy that I still have is the language. I still speak Vietnamese. I'm still very fluent in it. I just can't write or read that much in it. I can see myself now being very proud to be Asian and being able to defend it a lot more, doing more research, also being able to confront people when they make certain jokes that they think is appropriate and it's really not. Like, even little jokes like, do you want more rice to eat with your meal and all that stuff. And even though Asians do eat rice, it's still very inappropriate for someone to kind of make that kind of statement. But younger Cindy would have just been like, oh my God, yeah, I love rice. I would have been like, just brushing it off. It's a funny joke. And it's also, you know, a lot of years of erasing my history and then bringing it back. On top of dealing with the racism in the school, it also didn't help that everything that they were basing it on is based on stereotypes and things that they have seen in our media. So when you look at TV shows or movies, the Asian character is always either going to be super nerdy or super sexualized, or a ninja. And it's never been just another individual going through puberty and going through this love story. It's no, this person is a super nerd who's going to try to be cool, or this person is like never the main character, but she's, you know, super sexy, and feeds into this fetish of this Asian fetish of people wanting to date or be with someone exotic. And it's like, we're not an animal where you're trying to, like, you know, collect exotic things into your home or have in your life. And it's quite disappointing to see that, because it's hard to see yourself as a beautiful person if you don't see someone who looks like you in anything that you look. It was already hard to see strong women, because there wasn't many movies with strong women in general. So I couldn't even say like girl power other than the Spice Girls. And then on top of that, I didn't see any strong female Asian until like Charlie's Angel came out and you see Lucy Liu, you know. But even then it was hard, because you're just being like, she's just this hot Asian and who is a spy, which is correlates to the ninja perspective. And it was still tough, but that was the only person I had looking up was, okay, at least I have Lucy Liu. I'm very happy now to see that there is a bit more representation with movies like To All the Boys I've Ever Loved, and just seeing, like, you know, Crazy Rich Asians, Mulan having a live action now. So to see more representation with just a female as well as Asian female, like, it's finally like, oh my God, it's finally here. But, you know, I should be 31 years old to be excited for this, you know, and I wished I had this when I was younger. So I'm really excited for the younger generation to be able to see a lot more representation now than I did, you know, 30 years ago. In pageantry, I never felt that I could represent Canada, because I was told I wasn't Canadian enough, or I didn't look Canadian in order to represent that. They would say, you know, you can obviously represent China when I'm not even Chinese, but they would just say, you know, you can be Miss China and go and compete. Even Halloween, I would always dress up. I remember old pictures of me dressing up for Halloween as a beauty queen, but I would never put Miss Canada on me, because I never saw that as a possibility. And I knew that my classmates would harass me about the fact that I think that that I had the audacity to be able to represent Canada. So my sash would always say Miss Vietnam, because no one would question that twice. Of course she's Miss Vietnam, because she's Vietnamese and she's Asian, that makes sense. But if I were to ever put Miss Canada, it would have never had any reaction. It wouldn't have a positive reaction. It would just have an instant, who are you to think that you can represent our whole entire country when you're not even white? Not having that representation in pageantry, and then on top of that, not having any of that representation in TV. You know, no one in any news report was Asian. There wasn't someone that was doing that. And even if they were a little bit Asian, they also had surgery done to look more westernized. You know, whether it's double eyelid surgery, whether it's lightening or darkening their skin, it was always some sort of alteration of who they are as a person and as their heritage and their background in order to be able to get that position. And that's been very tough. And even, you know, if there was one Asian reporter, it's again a very stereotypical name that made sure that people are only going to be like, oh yeah, she's Asian, but it's just like, no, she's not really Asian. She's just Asian on the outside. She's just pretty much white on the inside. And that's what was kind of, even as younger me, strive towards. I would joke around and tell people, you know, I'm just like a banana. I'm yellow on the outside, I'm white on the inside. And that's something that I would joke and be proud of, and being like, yeah, I'm so white for an Asian. And that was so unfortunate as a person that should have been. And it's just like, I wish I never felt that way towards myself, because I should have been proud of the fact that, you know, I am Asian and that I am Vietnamese, and that we worked really hard to get here to where I am today. But not having that representation in any form at all was very tough growing up. So then it just kind of changed my mindset to, okay, well then I want to be that representation. right after high school, it was very tough. You're at this age where you don't know where you want to do with your life, and you're being very forced to go to post-secondary education. So I did attempt to go to university and colleges 4 different times and dropped out all 4 times. And right after that, I kind of just went through a lot of like different unique careers, whether it was like a sales position at all these Walmarts and Sears and being like the youngest person in the company with #1 in sales, to working on cruise ships and doing that for 2.5 years, and doing event management and brand ambassador recruitment and this and that. I've just kind of touched careers in almost everything possible. While working all these different careers, I didn't really find something that kind of like made me super happy, very fulfilled with what I wanted to do. And I've always had this desire to wanting to be a flight attendant. I would apply to certain positions, but you need to know French, or you need to have this and this requirement. So it made it very tough to do it. I was very lucky to also get on Big Brother Canada, and I did 2 seasons of that show. So that kind of like filled up a lot of my time in between. And then right after the last season that I did, my airline was hiring. So then I applied, and then I got the job. I did my, intense training for 2 months, passed all my exams, got the position. So it kind of been a huge thing of being able to have that flexibility and that spontaneity of my job, because I tried doing 9 to 5. It just was not for me. I was more exhausted doing 9 to 5 than doing, a random hour job. Being able to have the benefits of traveling, be able to kind of control my own schedule, have that flexibility, as well as be home as much as I wanted to be. And then it kind of made me also be able to fulfill my other kind of desire and dream job of being a national director. So I've been competing pageantry for over a decade now, and every time I compete in a pageant, I always have something to complain about. So then when I got the opportunity to go to Galaxy Internationals, I loved it. I felt more at home than any other pageant I've been to. When I got there and when I started competing throughout the week, oh my God, I have a fair chance of winning. Like, I am actually being looked at as a competitor, and everyone is being treated fairly. And, it's very low key, but also very intense. And literally right after the last competition was done, I think I went back to my room to change. And then I went back out. I saw Maria, the international director and the CEO. I was like, I want to take Canada. And she's like, done, you can have it. I now get to live kind of 2 of my dream jobs of being a flight attendant and being a national director. And it's so interesting to be like your entire life to be striving towards where you want to be in life. And like, I'm here. It's very interesting that at 31 years old, that's the happiest I've ever been in all aspects of my life. And obviously, everyone experienced downtimes, but that downtime is more of like stressful things in life that you cannot control. And you're like, okay, how do I move forward? But in the surface of things, I'm very happy with the career that I'm in. I'm very happy with the opportunities that I've had. I'm very happy that I'm now giving opportunities to other individuals and just being able to grow. So it's very interesting that it took this long, but I'm glad that it did, because I wish I had people like me growing up, where it's like, it's okay if you don't want to go to university or college after high school. Like, take that year if you need to. Take 5 years if you need to. And if you do go to school your first year and it didn't work out, it's okay. Do what makes you happy. And if there's a struggle, find a solution to that struggle. And if it's not worth it, then don't do it. Like, it's very, all the time. So it's very interesting to see how my life progressed. And looking back, I'm just like, oh, thank God I didn't listen to young me, and glad to where I am here today.